Picture this. You've just crawled out of a drug cult's basement. You fought zombie guards. You almost died twice. You rescued an innocent woman, and you are covered in things that should not be on a person. You step outside. You take a breath, and an army is at the gates specifically there for one of your friends. The whole city wants to hand her over to make the army go away, and every option on the map is either a war zone, an impassable swamp, or impenetrable jungle.
Well, at least it isn't boring.
No, it is absolutely not boring. Welcome back to the Deep Dive, Sessions 4 and 5 of the Mire on the campaign. 2 sessions that take this group out of the city of Umis and throw them headfirst into the Kush jungle, which appears to be specifically designed to kill them in new and creative ways. We have a lot to get through.
We do! We have ritual body horror, we have a river ambush, we have a mute old exile who apologizes in dirt, we have arguably the worst possible first impression ever made by a man with a spear, and we have a training montage.
And we have a bird.
We have the bird.
As I was saying, setting the stage. This party, Gore, Alina, Vangrith, Adressia, Arnmore, and Caliban, they've just emerged from the Yellow Druid warehouse, having rescued Adressia and grabbed the antidote they needed. And the exact moment they surface, their thief contact Caliban comes sprinting out of the pre-dawn mist, completely panicked, because while they were underground, the warlord Gazankar arrived with his Baraksai horde and laid siege to the southern gates. He wants Alina. Hand her over by sundown, or the outer districts burn.
A city council has never once in the history of civilization held firm for a runaway foreign woman against an armed horde. Not once. They were already drafting the letter. So the party does the only logical thing. They run. Caliban guides them through the flooded smuggler tunnels under the city walls, east, out into the Kush jungle. And then Caliban, clever, pragmatic, I do like him, Caliban sketches out the tactical situation. North is the ruins of Kar. South means crossing the Festral Swamp to reach Lysor. The plains of Klar to the east are crawling with the horde. Satala isn't safe for Caliban personally.
And west is more impenetrable jungle.
So they are in the impenetrable jungle to escape the impenetrable jungle.
That's exactly right. Every direction is a different flavor of terrible. So they push north with essentially no supplies. And this is where the session pivots from political thriller to something much weirder.
The bird thing?
The bird thing. So Vangrith, the party's sorcerer, looks up and notices vultures circling overhead, and apparently something in his head goes click. He turns to Alina and Caliban, the only 2 members of the party with ranged weapons, and asks them to bring one down.
And they do it. Alina drops one cleanly with her bow. Caliban wings one with his sling, still breathing, just stunned.
And at this point you might assume, okay, they're starving, they want to eat a vulture. Fine, desperate times.
But that is not what is happening.
That is not what is happening. Vangrith eats the still-beating heart of one of the vultures, raw.
While it is still alive!
Every bone in his body breaks. He collapses into this ball of broken flesh, and then reforms.
As a vulture, a large, bald, deeply undignified vulture with the full mind of a man and absolutely no ability to speak a single word.
Look, as a survival decision, genuinely clever. In a jungle you don't know with enemies you can't see, an aerial scout is a massive tactical asset. The execution is nightmare fuel. But the instinct is sound.
There is also the small mercy that he cannot complain about conditions. I imagine the group morale improves somewhat.
Probably. So they push on through the jungle. Vangrith circles overhead. Everyone else hacks through the undergrowth, and they make it to a clearing to rest. Some of them start noticing the trees seem to be moving, watching them.
The jungle watching?
They don't hang around to find out what that means. They move on toward the first cache location marked in the ledger they pulled from the Yellow Druid's hideout. 4 caches heading north towards somewhere the Vale is described as Thin, the ruins of Kar.
Which becomes very significant later.
They hit the river and this is one of those moments where you know exactly how it's going to go before it happens, because crossing rivers in hostile terrain never just works. Alina slips. goes in.
Oh no!
And that wakes up the crocators.
Half crocodile, half alligator, the worst of each, according to everyone who has ever encountered one and survived to describe them.
They come hard. Gore and Caliban hold the shore. Alina, still in the water, pulls a bow shot and drops one. And overhead, Vangrith is doing the only thing available to him in that form.
Screaming!
Screeching, in his horrible bird voice. Providing what I can only describe as moral support.
He is present and engaged. That counts.
They survive. They collapse on the riverbank. And that is where Session 5 opens. The party resting, battered, when they hear something moving in the trees.
And out he comes.
They go for cover. Everyone gets into the trees. Most of them. We'll come back to Arnmur. Out of the undergrowth comes this gaunt, weathered old man. Head to toe in faded serpent tattoos, barely dressed, carrying a crude short sword, and he walks to the center of the clearing, plants his blade point down in the ground, and raises an open hand.
A universal gesture. I mean no harm.
Except he can't speak, and instead of running or panicking, he kneels down and writes his name in the dirt. Sethka, and then below it, I know this jungle. You do not. You will die without help. My people's village is near.
Direct, honest, efficient. A man who has learned to say only what matters.
And then Adrestia climbs down from her tree. And the moment he sees her, everything changes. He does a second bow, and he writes something else. They cut my tongue as punishment for silence. I am sorry for what I did to you.
He put her in the drug den. He's the reason she was there.
He knows it. He's not hiding it. The party asks him about the Yellow Druids. He writes, Yellow Druids hate me. No friend of the Shawnee. They destroyed my village. And the party makes a judgment call. They follow him.
And I think that is the right read, honestly. A man who confesses his crimes in the dirt before asking for anything, that man is trying to make something right. You can work with that.
So they go deeper into the jungle with Sethka leading. And here's the thing about Sethka in the jungle. He moves through it like it doesn't exist. He's catching these small ferret-like creatures for food along the way, casual as anything, feeding the scraps and offal to Vangrith the vulture.
Method acting. He's committed to the role now.
The party is not handling the jungle nearly as well. By the end of the day, they're all completely spent. Sethka stops, turns, looks at them and writes, I have followed you since the river. You are loud.
Devastating. That is absolutely devastating. He tracked them for hours through dense jungle and they had no idea.
The man is a ghost. But, and this matters, Vangrith spots something. From the air circling, he catches movement in the trees coming toward them. Party dives for cover.
Most of them.
Arnmur does not make it. Catastrophic failure. He is standing alone in the open when a group of warriors steps out of the jungle. Dark-skinned, heavily built, furious, and they are furious specifically about Sethka, because Sethka is an exile to these people, a traitor.
And Arnmur is now the face of this entire introduction.
Arnmur, to his credit, does not freeze. He puffs himself up and tells them they are great warriors who can protect the village. And to prove it, he mentions the Slorth they killed at the last settlement they helped.
Oh, he didn't know.
He absolutely did not know. Slorths are sacred to these people. A Slorth skull had been protecting their village for generations. Had been. Because the Yellow Druids, who they call the Yellow Devils, arrived a week ago, burned the crops, stole everything of value, took the Slorth skull, and took the chieftain's daughter.
So Arnmur, trying to establish credibility, just announced that he personally participated in desecrating their most sacred protective relic.
In front of the warriors, in the jungle, while his entire party watches from the trees in absolute silence.
And somehow they are not immediately killed. I will give him this. The confidence was remarkable.
The lead warrior, Korvoth, takes them to the village. And in the chieftain's jungle court, the whole picture comes together. The Yellow Druids hit this tribe hard, burned everything they couldn't carry, stole the sacred skull, took Korvoth's own sister, the chieftain's daughter. And they believe they are north, in the ruins of Kar, squatting in the tribe's sacred grove, where their furacine flowers grow.
And the tribe's beliefs specifically forbid them from traveling north armed with spear.
Which means they cannot deal with it themselves. They are trapped by their own sacred law.
And the party already knows about Ka. The 4 cache locations in the Yellow Druid's ledger all point north toward Ka, a place where the veil is described as thin, where they were building towards something, and now there is a second sloth skull in that exact location.
And probably whatever's left of the ritual infrastructure. The party's working theory is that the Yellow Druids are trying to resurrect Chtholonax, the ancient sorcerer king who created the Sloths in the first place. They've been concerned about this since Session 1, but now they know where.
And they are the only people in this entire situation both willing and able to go there.
The city is occupied. There is no one else.
So the village puts them through it. Days of training, jungle movement, crawling through mud, pull-ups on branches, learning how to actually exist in this terrain rather than just stumble through it loudly.
And Adrestia spends this time brewing wound sealants. 3 of them.
That is a person thinking 3 decisions ahead. That is the difference between a party that survives and one that doesn't. You don't just prepare for the door in front of you. You prepare for what's past it.
She is wonderful. I simply adore her.
5 days of rations packed, training done. And they set out north for the ruins of Kar. Sethka at the front, guiding them into whatever the Yellow Druids have been constructing there, and presumably towards something none of them are fully prepared for.
Nobody ever is. You just go anyway?
Yeah, you just go anyway. Okay, before we send you off, speaking of the training montage...
Oh, yes. The song.
They set it to music. The whole thing. Mud crawling, branch work, all of it.
I have listened, and I will say this. The energy is there. It is committed. Whether every vocal note lands exactly where one might hope is a separate conversation, there are choices being made, some of them bold, some of them very bold.
It's a training montage song.
And it will serve. In the jungle, with everything on the line, committed is what you've got. So, here it is. That is a person thinking 3 decisions ahead. That is the difference between a party that survives and one that doesn't. You don't just prepare for the door in front of you. You prepare for what's past it.
Your spine holds the line. Rise from the mire, forged in the dark. The skull of the sloth is burning your heart. They burn the crops down. They stole what was theirs. You don't stop moving till the blood hits the stairs. Rise from the mire. I'm shaking like stone. Arnur's face down in the mud on his own. Adrestia's mixing up poisons by night. Every hour a sharpening. Every day a new fight. The Yellow Druids are waiting up north in the ruins of Kar. Now show them your worth. The ruins of Kar lie ahead. You face the yellow demons, or you face them dead.